Let's do a garter tab cast on. A garter tab cast on allows the top edge of a top-down shawl to look like an unbroken stream of garter across the top, as though there is no actual difference side to side across here, even though we've needed to start here and work outwards. So the garter tab gives us a little tiny tab about this big of garter that we then make into the beginning of a little triangular or crescent shawl. So let's work on that. The first thing to do is to cast on, in this example, 3 stitches. Doesn't matter what cast on method you use, I'm going to use the long tail cast on. And leave yourself enough of an end that you can weave it in later. So 3 stitches. And now, for my example, I'm going to knit 6 rows. So 6 rows will make 3 garter ridges. After we've knit 6 rows of garter here, it's going to look like this. So we'll have 3 stitches that are active, we will have 3 ridges, and we'll have the cast on end. So we're going to turn our work, and we're going to knit these. Just like normal. And now we need to grab the other 2 sides of this. So you have 2 options. One is to use the right tip of your needle to go through one of the garter ridges and actually pick up and knit, but I find this very awkward, trying to bring the loop of yarn back through that stitch while these are attached and we're kind of going around the corner here. I find really awkward. So what I do instead is I use my other needle to just go through and pick up those 3 stitches. And it doesn't matter which part of the stitch you use. This little garter tab can of course be perfected and you can go into a lot of detail to get it absolutely right, but it's a part of the shawl that can be sort of fudged, and it's good enough is good enough. Got my 3 stitches that were live, got my 3 stitches that I just picked up, so I'm just going to knit across. And that's easier for me than picking up and knitting. And then we need to turn our work 90 degrees again and pick up from the cast on edge. And again, I find it easier to use the spare needle than to try to turn this needle and pick it up. Now, I'm obviously not going to be using DPNs for knitting the shawl, and if I wasn't demoing this, I'd be using the longer circular needle that I would use for the shawl, but it is much easier in the setting of this not to have the cords flapping around. So again, you could turn the needle and pick up across here, but I find that really difficult. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 3 stitches again using the spare needle, or if I was on a circular needle, I could just, it wouldn't be the spare needle, it would be the spare needle tip. Now I'm right-handed, so it's a little easier for me to transfer it and pick up this way, just because this cast on edge is a little persnickety and a little hard. Now there's no wrong way to do this. As long as you get a loop on, you're going to be just fine. And it doesn't matter which part of the stitch you're grabbing. If you want this cast on to be absolutely perfect, some people do cast on provisionally, come back and open up and have those 3 loops there. So if this is like an heirloom wedding shawl situation, that is something that you could do. As I said, find that this this cast on works with a good enough sort of approach, but I know not all knitters are happy with a good enough. They want absolutely perfect. So in that case, you go ahead and provisionally cast on. It'll make a little bit of a difference for you. So now I'm going to knit across again. And now, even though it doesn't look like it, we've got the beginning of the top edge of the shawl. So what we will do in this example is we will have 3 stitches for garter on this edge. We will have 3 stitches for garter on this edge, and that will mirror the 3 stitches of garter that we did in the tab. And then these 3 stitches, and again, depending on the pattern, you may be told to cast on more or fewer stitches, you may be knitting more or fewer ridges, but the pick up, or the knit, pick up of the 3 sides will be a similar technique. these 3 stitches would be the basis for the whole shawl to build out from. Back to our example here, here's our cast on. So this garter cast on is what we've just done. We did the extra ridges, we knit, we picked up, and then there's going to be a row where we put some stitch markers and get everything set up. And from there, everything else comes from this tab and happens outwards. So the 3 garter stitches are always going to be marching this way, and these ones will be marching that way, and then everything in between will become the full shawl.